There you go, Jody. Little premature there. So now we're doing the sound check. So hopefully you can hear me. Microphone check 1, 2. Good to see Jody Lynn, Frank Meister, Redfoot, Bad Actors. What up? Taynam the Bomb, She Warrior, and Amy Lee. Happy New Year to you, all of you. Happy New Year to the Sloop crew.
Big brother trying to mess with my head. He whispers sweet nothing, things better left unsaid. We got our ears to the ground, our eyes wide open and keen. No gaslight, shadows gonna dim our screen. Cheeks, she don't play no games. She calls out all their fake claims. Sloop intuition, we got that vision.
Good.
No ad hominem allowed, just facts shouted loud. Sloop intuition, we got that vision. No ad hominem allowed, just facts shouted loud. Just facts shouted loud. Just facts shouted loud. Propaganda trying to twist up the truth. They feeding us lies from
New
our
stuff from Cheeks. Go check it out.
youth. But Patrick, he leading the way with the flashlight bright, exposing the darkness and bringing the light. Smooth intuition, we got that vision. No ad hominem allowed, just facts shouted loud. Smooth intuition, we got that vision. No ad hominem allowed, just facts shouted loud. They try to divide us with their silly schemes. Break up our squad, break up all of our dreams. But we stick together, strong and true. Sleuth crew coming for you.
Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. We are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome, welcome, as we dive into Abby and Libby's case, also known as the Delphi murders. So today, we're going to look at everything through what I'm referring to as the Reese lens. All right. Basically playing devil's advocate. So everything we're going to be looking at will be through the Reese lens as if what he's saying is true. So we're going to separate the live stream into 3 parts. Let's see here. Why some folks support Rick Allen. In my opinion, they believe that the bridge guy is somebody else, like Ron Logan or even Kagan Klein or Brad Holder. So therefore, it cannot be Rick Allen. We'll start with that and what that means, that type of thinking, and what it could do to your investigation. Number 2, we're going to be looking at Ron Logan, right, through the Reese lens as if he is a guilty party. We'll look at everything that I have on Ron, and then we'll take a close look at Libby's video. I did some work on it. We'll get a close up. We'll mess with the coloring. We'll mess with the imaging, and we'll see if we can find Ron Logan in there. I don't see it. Some do. I could be wrong. And then finally, we're going to finish with forget Odinism, right? We're looking through the Reese lens. There is no Odinism. The signatures are witchcraft or satanic. And remember, if it is witchcraft, that means that that does not exclude runes or bind runes with a perpetrator with that kind of thinking. So that's what you need to remember when you're participating in the chat or as the replay crew in the comment section. Everything is through the Reese lens. We're going to play a little devil's advocate today. What's up, Shadow? Clarissa? Jamie? Jay Burns? Still don't think Ron Logan had any involvement, but I always love bouncing around thoughts and possible theories. He might have had knowledge of the bodies, but didn't want to come forward because of his record. So you're kind of jumping, trying to get in front of the why he created a false alibi. Are we not seeing anything? Better than a greasy lens. Huh? Okay, so like I said, we're breaking this into 3 parts. Why people support Rick, most likely because they believe the bridge guy is not Richard Allen. Therefore, it cannot be him. Then everything is kind of built around that. Because I've seen that. People that thought Ron Logan was the killer from the very beginning, you know, they created YouTube channels. They created this big movement behind the scenes, you know, pushing for the Ron Logan is the bridge guy killer. So when they arrest Rick, that goes against their narrative. But a lot of people believe that. They look at the bridge guy and they say, that's Ron Logan. Early on in the investigation, I did that too. You know, he's dressed like him. It looks like him. That video must be distorted. It's pixelated. The greasy lens. Sorry, I'm a little slow. So, first and foremost, everything through the Reese lens. Thank you, bad actors. And then why they support Rick. My opinion is they believe that the bridge guy is somebody other than Rick. And then they build from there. That's their foundation. We're going to look at everything Ron Logan through the Reese lens. We'll analyze Libby's video, some work that I did on it. We're going to be able to get a close-up and actually analyze the footage. And then finally, we're going to forget Odinism. If this is through the Reese lens, he said witchcraft and other symbolism. So if we're dealing with some kind of witchcraft or satanic symbolism, that doesn't exclude runes. For those of you who think that what we're looking at the crime scene are runes or bind runes, right? Something similar to what Brad Holder mentions himself, right? How he puts 3 numbers together that are represented by a rune and I guess binds them together. So if what we're seeing at the crime scene, the blood on the tree, the sticks on the girls, is witchcraft or Satanism, it does not exclude runes or bind runes. So for the experts to come across the crime scene and say, "Hey, I'm seeing Norse paganism here," or occult ritualistic symbolism. Grunge, good to see you. Be careful. I'm sure you're having a good time. Be safe. Teresita Hillis, 1215 is in the building. Happy New Year. Everybody be safe tonight. They believe Rick was driven crazy and admitted to it. See, the truth is that is very possible. I try not to lean too much on the confessions. Better take shelter. Remember, it's the rule of threes. 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. Richard tried to make peace with what happened and admitted it to his wife. Yeah, but it's not like he sat down with her and, some kind of private conversation and he's like, "Look, I'm sick of all of this. I did it. I'm it's all good. If we need to get a divorce or whatever, I knew I need to let you go." But that's not how it happened, right? He's with his doctor. He's going crazy. Even she said he's in and out of psychosis. So, I mean, it's hard to say. You can include it if you want, but for me personally, I could totally see how his mind could be warped into saying something like that. He could want his situation to change so bad that he could formulate a plan to fit what he perceives as what you guys want from him, right? What he wants those facilities, how they want him to behave. Okay, so they want me to be guilty. How do they want me to be guilty? And how do I sell it? That way, possibly my situation could change. I'm not saying that's what happened, but to say that it's out of the realm of possibility, I think would be irresponsible. Asking if everyone would still love him. Well, think about it. Maybe he's made the decision to confess, right? I'm not guilty, but I've still made the decision to confess. So he's going to have the same consequences, right? I'm getting ready to confess, even though I'm innocent. Are you guys going to love me? Because I've already made the decision to confess. Now I'm thinking about the repercussions. People are going to think I'm a child killer now. If I confess, so that they'll take me out of this damn room and let me go run around and make friends and talk to people, and stop going crazy, banging my head against the wall. He might do that. Is that what's happening? No, that's not what I think. But if you don't look and if you don't check for yourself, how are you going to know? Robert Bell, bridge guy is not Richard Allen in those interrogations. He sounded genuine. They drugged him and put him in the hole for a year. His mind was warped. Yeah, it really could be true. You have to consider that a possibility because it happens all the time. Okay, so let's explore this thought. Let me go back to that comment. Welcome in, Robert, by the way. Says, Bridge Guy is not Richard Allen in those interrogations. He sounded genuine. Well, what about the guy in the video? Is that the Bridge Guy? Here, let's pull that up right now. I'm going to pull up some work I did on Libby's video. Oh, wait, did I already pull it? Okay, I already pulled it. Here it is. Look at me, all organized. Okay. Put this on the big screen. Okay, so we'll be able to adjust the contrast, the brightness. We'll be able to sharpen the image. We'll be able to adjust it a little bit. I mean, I just don't see Ron Logan there. But as much as I preach about camera angles and the way it can kind of manipulate perception, I mean, you never know. It is very blurry. Christine, what's up? How do you know they drugged him? Well, they definitely gave him Haldol, right? We know that. Jamie says if he was psychotic, we hopefully being sane, might not understand his logic. Yeah. Quote the great Tom Webster, killing is dumb. Killing is dumb. Try to be. Vix, welcome, welcome. Okay, now we can get started. Vix is here. See, if anything, that looks like Kagan Klein right there. Yeah, right now. Now we're seeing Rick. But we're searching for Ron Logan. Where are you, Ron? Well, that don't look like Ron. That looks a lot like Rick. Looks nothing like Ron Logan. I can buy maybe not Richard Allen, but nothing like Ron Logan. Oh, Tool? You're listening to Tool? Jarmy Vicious says Brad Holder. American Richard Allen's dad's music is creepy. I thought it was okay. You know, I kind of like that rebel country. That I mean, I it was all right, but some of the songs I thought were okay. It's in the bloodline. At the beginning, they said something about a tripod and being filmed. It never brought that up in court. Okay, so you have some people think Brad Holder's the bridge guy. Yeah, he does match the description much better than Ron Logan. You know, it's the shoulders for me and the overall proportions. Killing for sport and war is definitely primitive. Well, if we're looking at things through the Reese lens, I think it would be Ron Logan who was the only one really planning to kill. Right? If he's got the burner phone and he's watching these communications between Keegan and Anthony, or excuse me, Anthony Schatz and Libby, and he's talking behind the scenes with people like Rick Allen and Keegan Klein and talking about luring them here, right? Yeah, just bring them to the house. Can you get her here? Like once we get her here, we can just kind of have our way with her. It'll just be her alone. Like she seems to be the one that's really buying into the Anthony Schatz account. Right? I think we can really use that. So bring her to my place, right? We'll make a thing out of it. And that could kind of explain. I have the video. This is from Fig Solves. I haven't really talked to Fig in a long time. He gave me permission to show this video, but that was then. So I don't know if I still have permission. But either way, I just took a couple screenshots. He leaves here and should be home by 12 o'clock, noon. Richard Allen's alibi begins at noon. Keegan Klein's alibi begins at noon. He says, I was with my father at my grandparents' house from 12 to 3. Rick says, I believe I got there around 12. I left my mom's at 11, got there at 12. Keegan confessed to parking in the cemetery. So now what I believe happened with Keegan Klein's cemetery confession is that it was a version of the truth. It was just one of many versions of the truth that excluded the Ron Logan, that might lead to other people, that could somehow hurt Keegan Klein, right? Or hurt his family. Because we have people through the Reese lens coming and going, getting their hands on burner phones, Keegan setting up these burner phones, and who knows what kind of customers he has. So, and then he's buying fish. Why is he buying fish? It sounds like he's trying to improve the aesthetic of the interior of his home. So it kind of fits with him expecting to have guests. Right, he's cleaning up and he's out of there by noon. Ron Logan out of there by noon. Keegan Klein, his alibi says, yeah, between noon and 3. Rick Allen, noon and 3. Like they all basically are saying the same thing. The timelines are matching up for this. It's the way of the world, I guess. How come the tip line is open? Most likely because there are more. I don't think the tip line is open anymore. I think they finally shut it down. That does look like a leathery fanny pack. Yeah, it does. Recently, I have been thinking that. Here, let's pull this out. There was a photograph I was looking at that I was working on, and it looked like a fanny pack. No doubt about that. And I'll show you what I mean here. So the photo made it look like the hand was kind of coming up under the strap. And the fanny pack was kind of doing this. So that probably would make the zipper somewhere like this. Yeah, and even this part was kind of darker, like that. Something more like that. And that kind of looks like what's going on here with Ron Logan. Can't really see it. The chat box is in the way, but he has like this little fanny pack that hangs down like that. All right, let's go through these notes here. Okay, so it was Richard Allen framework. Many who believe Richard Allen is innocent start from the assumption that Bridge Guy is someone else. From there, different alternative suspects are proposed, each one serving the same purpose, excluding Allen. Here's some alternative Bridge Guy theories. The Ron Logan theory. Some argue Ron Logan was Bridge Guy and the killer. If Logan is Bridge Guy, then Richard Allen cannot be. And then you have Brad Holder in the Odinism theory. Others believe Brad Holder was Bridge Guy and that the murders were ritualistic or Odinist in nature. Again, if Holder is Bridge Guy, Allen is excluded. The Kagan Klein theory. Another camp believes Kagan Klein was Bridge Guy or directly involved. If Klein is Bridge Guy, then Allen cannot be. Each theory operates independently, but they all rely on the same premise. Bridge Guy is not Richard Allen. And then you just kind of build from there. All right. Let's mess with the sharpness here and see what we can find. Yeah, that helps a little bit there. Maybe the contrast. See, right here, it looks like an army beret, doesn't it? It looks like a fucking army beret. Yeah, don't mind the dogs. I think people are shooting off fireworks outside. They usually don't bark too long. Jill Moser, what's up? Welcome in, Grunge. Welcome again, Grunge. Made it to a live late, but here. Welcome, welcome. Many bought koi. Farmers use koi in outside horse tanks. That makes more sense, Jamie. Holder's online posts are damning. Those should be taken into account, but I know nothing. Well, yeah, they should be taken into account, but I don't think that they should be used as actual evidence. You know what I mean? You have to know your limitations with certain things. And in this image, you can kind of see a rounded, it almost looks like a BlackBerry. You remember those with the buttons on the outside? A little bit shorter of a phone. And here, this looks like a fanny pack. But the face doesn't really look like Ron Logan. But it could be pareidolia. Kind of throwing us off a little bit. Christine, what's up? What about KK Cousin Trexler? I think his name was brought up. Yeah, if Kagan Klein was there that day, I'm pretty sure it was Trexler or somebody there that lives in that property. Or, well, I guess Kagan could have just showed him how to connect to it. Or maybe even just placed his phone somewhere out there, right? I always wondered if you could set your phone, let's say you go hook your phone up to a Wi Fi, maybe you've hacked it, or it's a public Wi Fi, and you hide your phone somewhere. You connect it to an external battery so it doesn't die, right? You got 8 hours of play. And then you just play some long movie or some long playlist, or even maybe even just hide it in the back of your grandma's car, right? You put it in the back of your grandma's trunk. When you're done with the murder, you come back, you visit grandma again, and you grab your device, and then you go home. The whole time you have it playing like just some playlist that you have on your phone. Kind of looks like the shape of a gun L. That's kind of what I see right here. Oh, here's a good one. Damn, that looks just like Rick Allen right there. Looking for Ron Logan and finding Rick Allen. Looks a lot like him. All right, we'll see if we can find old Ron. Oh, what do we got here? Jamie, that looks like Holder now. I have no clue who it is. Teresita will always look like a bucket hat to me. Fisherman's hat. Jari, what's up? Happy New Year to you, Scorpio. Thank you. Definitely looks like Rick. That cheek is too plump to be Ron Logan. Yeah, he's got droopy, but this kind of fits a droopy. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Rick Allen to me. Oh man, yeah. That one's almost undeniable. Here, let's get a zoom in on that one. Jeez. What does that look like? Dang, that's almost undeniable right there. I don't think Ron Logan was involved in the crime. Now the Kleins is a different story. The jowls. Redfoot, what up? The thing with the fanny pack is that on the BG, it's on the right side of his body. Yeah, that's been kind of a little bit of a conundrum for me too. But then I kind of justified it as well. He just moved it. But you say, and Ron Logan's, it's on his left side. Of course, he could move it, but why? It's like keeping your wallet in the same spot. Well, what if he moved it the day he committed the murders for whatever reason? Maybe that's not the natural side the killer wears it on for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good point. Something to consider. But I mean, look at this right here. What's up, Boston? Assless chaps in prison? What the fuck? That's crazy. The only time Richard Allen ever looked creepy. Man, that looks like him right there. That's kind of Ron Logan esque. But look, this looks like the fucking military beret. Please tell me I'm bugging with that. Somebody tell me to stop with the beret shit. Oh, this kind of looks like Kagan Klein now. See, there's just no real way to determine. Okay, let's continue on with the they're all connected perspective, aka the Reese lens. Reese Davis introduces a different angle by suggesting these individuals may not be mutually exclusive suspects, but rather part of the same network or sequence of events. Multiple players could be involved. Bridge guy, online grooming, and post crime behavior could be overlapping. Focusing on only one suspect oversimplifies the case. Bottom Teeth Andy says, too pixelated, but body type matches Rick. It looks like a Peaky Blinders hat. Maybe let's take off some of the sharpness. Okay, this kind of looks a little closer to Ron. You're bugging. That would have to be a tan air assault beret or a green beret, and that lower wouldn't have either. So no beret. And Redfoot, you're a military guy. Tell me to shut up about the beret. It's enough about that damn beret. Let's see. We got Guyver. To me, it always looked like a guy in his 40s on the bridge. I mean, this is a pretty good, pretty clear image of the bridge guy here. He's got what appears to be a cigarette in his mouth. Richard Allen is 5'4". That person on the bridge is 5'10" at least, says Robert Bell. Which would be more consistent with Ron Logan, who is probably just at about 6 feet. And how are you determining that? True Crime Fangirl, what up? If you guys want to reach me, hit up my email. So here, let's run this before we finish the first part. And I'm going to go grab some more coffee. So if you guys need to go to the restroom or whatever, do it now. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, guys. See what's going on in the chat. Teresita says, I agree on the cigarette. Well, remember, according to the murder sheet, um, Rick kind of reached out to his mother just a few days after the crime and said, hey, they're going to find a cigarette out there and they're going to try to blame it on me. So it was almost like he was anticipating being arrested. Taking countermeasures. Brian Solera, what up? Good to see you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Definitely looks like a short guy. I mean, that's my first impression. Kind of has a round head. But right here, it does look like a fanny pack. What is that? Patinthanati? Patinthanati. Are you part of the Illuminati? It's extremely hard to tell, Sigh, but it kind of looks like Ron Logan's mustache. Yeah, we're definitely looking for Ron Logan. I just can't explain what the fuck is going on up here on his head. It's definitely something casting a shadow. But right here, it just doesn't look like a hat. Yeah, it looks more like those hats that Dave McCain wears. Small feet and short legs. That matches up with Richard Allen. Robin Shore. What up? I don't see Ron Logan's glasses, though. And they could be there. You can't really see anything that's going on right here. That one's kind of Ron Logan-esque. Robert says fanny pack. Bad actors. It looks like Rick to me. Too squat to be Ron Logan. Didn't know about him reaching out to his mom, and they did find a cigarette. They probably could link it to Richard Allen. I wonder if that's possible. Maybe it was too wet. On this one, you can kind of see a dark mustache or something, or maybe even a white mustache above a darker area. But this kind of looks like the tip of the nose and then the side of the cheeks next to the mouth. But what's going on with the hat? Does look like one of those hats that Brad Holder wears. I don't know. I want to call him. It's not a fedora. I almost want to call it a paperboy cap. I think one of you guys actually said what it was in the chat, but I can't find it. Do not go out on these trails alone. It's not safe. Try to stay in a big group. Or keep that thing on you. You know? You always want to keep a pound strapped down by the side. In case you got to smoke something. This guy has a mustache. I agree as well. Yeah, it looks like a dark mustache. Kind of like Kagan Klein's neighbor. What's his name? Dirk? Dirk Hayes? Yeah, he had a jacket like this too. Scallywag. Oh, I think somebody called it a Peaky Blinders cap. Yeah, that's not the official name. Newsboy cap. Yeah, newsboy cap, paperboy cap. Dave McCain cap. Kind of getting a glimpse of something here. I just cannot get past this frame, though. I mean, that's Rick Allen right there. In the clearest image we have, it's an image of Rick. So maybe it's not Ron Logan or Richard Allen. I mean, this looks like Rick right here. And then there's another very clear one right here. Oh, shit. That one's pretty good. What up, Hydro? Tony Klein? Yeah, I do. Didn't the three girls say he had some type of mask covering part of his face? Yeah, they did. But Betsy Blair didn't. But this does look like some kind of a scarf that he kind of has pulled down. Because if he's smoking a cigarette, he can't, it can't be both. He can't have a face covering and a cigarette unless he's wearing a straight mask. Boston Scally Cap. Robin says, yes, I agree. All right, let's finish up part one. Why Allen's defense focuses on Brad Holder and the Odinism stuff. Richard Allen's attorneys emphasize Brad Holder and Odinism for strategic reasons. Pointing to Holder supports a third-party culprit defense. It creates distance between Allen and the crime. Importantly, naming Ron Logan or Keegan Kline risks leading investigators back toward Allen. due to the timeline overlapping, geographic proximity, or evidentiary intersections. All right, you can't ignore what Reese's saying. Because once you mention Ron Logan and Keegan Kline, that stuff is all admissible. For sure. Okay, let's look at Ron Logan. Let's look at Ron Logan through the Reese lens. Almost as if we believe Reese, right? He's telling the truth. The jailhouse snitch can be trusted. All right, where should we start with Ron Logan? Okay, so we had him at the dump, right? Evidence proves that he left the dump by 12. So the dump is just right up the street. He's home by 12. Keegan Kline's alibi, he says, well, I was busy between 12 and 3. Ron Logan says, I was busy between 12 and 3. Ron Logan appears to be maybe preparing for guests, right? Before you have somebody over, you clean up. He just so happens to be cleaning up and done with his cleanup right before 12 when everybody will be showing up. We know that officially Keegan Kline did confess at Grissom Air Force Base that he was at the cemetery with his dad, and his dad met up with his buddy, and they went out and committed the crime. Well, that could be just one of many versions of Keegan Kline's truths, right? There could be some truth to it. He's kind of confessing to his involvement, but not telling the whole story because there's no need to, right? He's kind of doing what a defense attorney does, taking all of the low-hanging fruit and creating a narrative with it. That could also be what Reese Davis is doing, right? We now know that his new wife is into true crime, following a pro Richard Allen channel, may even be feeding Reese all of this information, right? So we'll start there. Ron Logan's at the dump. It's over there near Packers, not too far from the bridge, on the opposite side. If you were to come in through the back way. But he's gone by 12. I think that's a good place to start. Okay, let's go back to all of these old videos of Ron Logan.
In the hunt for the killer of those 2 Indiana teenagers, investigators executed a search warrant at the home of this man, Ron Logan, who owns the property where the bodies of 13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were found. Cops
Easy,
took away
Hydro.
a white Ford
Easy.
pickup truck during the search.
Who is safe here or anywhere else anymore?
Stephanie,
Ron
what's up?
Logan is now in custody on an unrelated
Ruckus.
probation violation.
What up?
I recently spoke to him about the murders.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
He told me he has an alibi, buying tropical fish.
Yeah, whenever he talks about the girls being killed there, he kind of talks about it like an accomplishment. So if we're looking at this through Reese's lens, Ron Logan's a guilty man, right? It was Rick Allen, and it was Keegan Kline and a couple of other people. They were all participating in this whole burner phone scheme. They got their burner phones from Keegan Kline, who was technically inclined. He was able to set it up, apparently go through private servers and everything, get you guys set up. So while he's communicating with all these girls, sextorting them, so that's kind of like a live show for you. If you have a phone and you have it hooked to some, the McDonald's Wi-Fi, and you have Keegan Kline doing all this sick stuff, and you have access to it, maybe even able to watch it live, you don't really need to communicate with Libby if you're Anthony Schatz, right? You're just watching Keegan Kline do it and then communicating to Keegan Kline on the Kick, like the Kick app, and telling him, well, ask her this. I want to get her over to my house over there, in Delphi. Let's get her over here. And that could be what the whole plan was. But for Ron, he's so proud of it. If he is guilty, he could have been the only one that was really planning to commit a murder. Right? Remember, he's the one that apparently would have had done it, killed them originally in the bathroom or did something in the bathroom that would cause him to remodel it, take out the pipes, and try to hide evidence before they're able to actually serve a search warrant. And it almost seems like they afforded him that opportunity. It's very suspicious. All of the people that Reese is pointing at suspiciously seem to be have been protected by law enforcement.
Fish 20 miles away.
I was not home during the time that all this was happening. I was in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And I didn't get home till approximately 6:30 in the evening, and then the neighbor stopped to ask for permission to look back here for the girl.
Liberty German shot this chilling image of the suspected killer approaching the girls on a hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't recognize the voice at all.
I asked Ron Logan to repeat those same chilling words.
Down the hill.
And that image of the suspect?
The picture is of such poor quality, it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
Police have not
That doesn't look like anybody that I know.
Look like anyone I've ever seen.
Police have not revealed
that
what
tone
led
of
them to
voice.
search his home, but said in a statement, "We basically are here to try to eliminate him or put him as a higher suspect in our case." Ron Logan told me he is devastated by the discovery of the bodies on his property.
That was like being hit with a bolt of lightning on my property.
Right? There's, I'm so shocked by that. But if he actually participated, this is kind of like, like Duper's delight, I guess you could call it. Like, oh my gosh, can you believe that? Like, it's shocking to him, right? When it's really not.
I mean, you just can't put words to it.
So what about him saying down the hill? It does match.
If here or anywhere else anymore.
Ron Logan is now in custody.
It doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen
Police have not revealed
at all.
You hear?
recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't.
Definitely nobody I
don't
know.
recognize the voice at all.
I asked Ron Logan to repeat those same chilling words.
Down the hill.
Same chilling words.
Down the hill. Down the hill. Down the hill. Down the hill. Hill. Down the 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 hill.
And that image of the suspect?
The picture is of such poor quality, it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
Police have not revealed.
All right, let's keep going.
In the hunt for the killer of those two Indiana teenagers, investigators executed a search warrant at the home of this man, Ron Logan, who owns the property where the bodies of 13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were found.
Flip
Cops
that,
took away a
Christina,
white
you're right.
Ford pickup truck during the search.
Who is safe here or anywhere else anymore?
Ron Logan is now in custody on an unrelated probation violation. I recently spoke to him about the murders.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
He told me he has an alibi, buying tropical fish 20 miles away.
I was not home during the time that all this was happening. I was in Lafayette.
Okay, so remember what Reese Davis said. He said that Ron jetted out of there to create an alibi. So here he is now, right? Using those countermeasures to implement them in real time with people who are trying to connect him to the murders, right? It's on his property. So therefore he's shocked. Oh my God, can you believe it? I can't remember the last time two people were ever killed, let alone on my property. Can you believe it? They're like, that's kind of interesting. But about his alibi, It's a 30-minute drive to the aquarium world and a 30-minute drive back. So that's 1 hour of time there consumed. Just that trip alone. And the clerk on record stated that Ron was there for about an hour, and it has him, I think, leaving at about 5:30. So that gives him plenty of time, right? That gives him plenty of time to commit the murder, get out there to Aquarium World. So he basically would have had to have left right at about 3:30. 3:30, right when it was all over with, right? Ron says, "Oh," or Richard Allen says, "No, I think he originally said from 1:30 to 3:30." 3:30 would have been right when Ron was leaving. Kagan Klein, "Oh, I think it was between 12 and 3. I was with my grandparents." Right? Conveniently, right when the murders would have been happening. I was busy. Cell phone data to back it up and everything. So almost everybody that Reese's pointing at had some kind of an alibi or was attempting to establish an alibi, right? Rick's phone's nowhere to be found in the geofence. Nowhere to be found. No ping, no nothing. His phone doesn't ping until sometime way after the murders, like around the time his wife would have been coming home and seeing him on the couch, right? Asleep, or at least pretending to be asleep.
Yeah.
And I didn't get home till approximately 6:30 in the evening, and then the neighbor stopped to ask for permission to look back here for the girls.
Liberty German shot this chilling image of the suspect.
So he would have been gone for 2 hours total time. 30 minutes there, 30 minutes on the way back, and 1 hour in the store. With the timestamp on the receipt showing that, yes, he should have been, in fact, been home around anywhere between 6 and 6:30, which is accurate. But yeah, he could have committed the crime for sure. If it was all over and done with by 3:30, absolutely.
Killer approaching the girls on a hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't recognize
true.
the voice at all.
I asked Ron Logan to repeat those same chilling words.
Down the hill.
And that image of the suspect?
The picture is of such poor quality, it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
Police have not revealed what led them to search his home.
Okay. So for those of you who think that this all sounds like Ron Logan, it all looks like Ron Logan, the journey to becoming a free Rick Allen or a Richard Allen supporter, this is one way that road starts. With just looking at that and seeing Ron Logan and just thinking, you know what, he's the bridge guy. I look at him and that's who I see. And that just happens to be the truth for a lot of people.
In the murder mystery of those two Indiana girls who disappeared while hiking, and it involves the owner of the property where their bodies were found. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Elgus here with the story.
Ronald Logan has never been named a suspect in the girls' killings, but the FBI and state police did search his property in the weeks after Liberty German and Abigail Williams were found dead. And court documents show Logan visited a dump site the day the friends went missing. Handcuffed and shackled, Ronald Logan pleaded guilty
Right,
to
Hydro?
a felony charge of being a habitual traffic violator today. Logan admitted to driving on a suspended license and drinking alcohol, violations of his probation.
Okay, so also this video is a good way to tell the height of Ron Logan. He may not even be 6 foot. Watch.
Prosecutors also say the
So watch him next to
77-year-old
Tobe.
drove to a dump site
There's not much of a height difference there.
the
Tobe's a
same
he's a
day.
shorty.
14-year-old Libby German.
So he's really not that tall. So if he's not wearing boots, let's say he was cleaning up, he was wearing those tall boots because he didn't want to get his socks wet or whatever. And now he's tired. He wants, he's going to shower. He's going to shave. He's going to change, and he's going to put on some sneakers. So if he is the bridge guy, look how short he is. But man, it's just hard to mistake this fucking mustache.
14-year-old Libby German and 13-year-old Abby Williams disappeared. Logan spoke to reporters after the girls' bodies were found on his property.
It's been violated horribly, and I just don't know that your home being your sanctuary is, I don't feel that way about it anymore. It's very concerning.
Logan is not considered a suspect, and investigators have used 2 clues to try and dig up leads. This photo was snapped by one of the girls. It shows a man walking on a bridge. And this chilling audio was recorded on Liberty's cell phone. It's looped in this clip. Prosecutors.
See, to me, that sounds like Richard Allen. So when I hear it, but the truth is, when you're thinking or you have a bias, it can really mess with your mind. That's been proven. We've proven that on this channel. If you doubt that, just go try the brainstorm green needle test and then come back and talk to me. That's probably the easiest example to give you. Robert says the walk also.
We're finding out that there was things that were said that were not true, or that things that were that we've uncovered since the interviews that we're just double checking to make sure everything's lined up.
That brought police
that
back
does
to
suck.
the Delphi property where the bodies of Libby German and Abby Williams were discovered. We broke that story today with that push alert that you got around noon. And we want to stress tonight, the homeowner has not been arrested for or charged with the girls' murders.
The homeowner is being held on an unrelated and alleged probation violation. Just hours ago, his attorney reached out to us and told us the landowner.
Let's go to Stephanie. Says, why didn't they just pin it on Ron if they were desperate? Obviously, because he wasn't the killer. I don't know, because if you were following the case and looking at what was going on with Ron Logan early on, he was also being mistreated in jail. Like he was trying to sue the county. They left him in solitary confinement naked for 14 days straight, apparently. So he got the Richard Allen treatment for sure. Or really, it was Richard Allen that got the Ron Logan treatment. Not everybody got taken to Grissom and maybe put up in a hotel with some woman and a bottle of champagne, right? The rest of the guys got the Ron Logan treatment.
Had, quote, no involvement in this heinous crime, saying in a statement, quote, I would like to caution the public to avoid jumping to conclusions before law enforcement has completed the ongoing investigation.
Still, as Logan sits in jail tonight, we've got Rich Van Wyck, who's been sitting outside his house as police went through it today with a warrant. Rich?
Thank you, Jerry.
Scott, this investigation here, search started 6 hours ago. There's no sign of it letting up soon. We have the FBI, state, and local police searching the house, the garage, the outbuildings, the field behind the outbuildings.
For sure,
even into
Hydra.
the woods. This is just a few hundred yards away from the girls, where the girls' bodies.
Okay, this is actually a good, how they panned this area. So if the girls were moved, this is where it would happen. This is the only place that it could have happened. From these buildings, right over to there. That's it. And then you go downhill and you're at the crime scene. I mean, it's literally right here down a hill.
Hundred yards away from the girls, where the girls' bodies were found. Police seized hands full of evidence, hauled away Ron Logan's pickup truck, and searched the home, garage, and farm buildings with the help of a canine. Investigators aren't saying precisely what brought them here or what they're looking for.
I
really can't tell you, bad actors.
Look at him even harder.
The girls' bodies were found just a few hundred yards away from Logan's home in a secluded, wooded area of his property.
Actually, the only guess I can come up with, bad actors, is that they didn't want the killer to think that that's all they had. Right? We have you on video. That's the fact right there. And we're only going to give you a small little taste. But the truth is that small taste was just a scoop from a small puddle. So to me, that's the only thing, the only purpose for that. was that they didn't want the killer to know that they really had nothing with the video.
In the weeks since the murders, the 77-year-old has talked with us often, walked us back into the crime scene.
Largest tragedies in Carroll County history.
He's denied having any connection to the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German.
I was cleared by the authorities ages ago.
But since then, police say they've received leads and other information, leading them to believe the details Logan gave investigators don't add up.
We're finding out that there was things that were said that were not true, or that things that were that we've uncovered since the interviews that we're just double checking to
Good
make sure
point,
everything's
Hydro.
lined up.
Police arrested Logan
Apples to
earlier
apples,
this
right?
week on an unrelated probation violation. He has a history.
I mean, just look at him. Like, why? He wants to take him down there to the crime scene, like every time. It's crazy.
Probation violation. He has a history of drunk driving convictions, but no record of more serious or violent crimes. Investigators warn against drawing any conclusions. Since their investigation began 4.5 weeks ago, they've conducted dozens of searches, interviewed scores of potential suspects, and given some of them polygraph tests. They've made no arrests.
We've done all kinds of things to other people, and it's all part of trying to clear them and try to get them to either be more.
Of course, after they refurbish and rebuild their bathroom, including replacing the pipes. Stephanie says, Kim Riley said early on, likely the killer had no record, which is extremely irresponsible of Kim to say something like that. That was very misleading. He made it seem as if they had DNA for their killer, and all they needed to do was match it with somebody. But the truth is, they had no male DNA whatsoever. So for him to say, oh, the killer had likely, how would he fucking know? He doesn't have any physical evidence of a perpetrator. So for him to say that is very misleading, and I think hurt a lot as far as trying to understand what was going on with this case. It was Kim Riley's irresponsible wording of that, or even just putting that out there. It's extremely misleading. I'm glad you brought that up.
Suspect, or to get them clear out of the picture and get them cleared, and so they can move on with their lives.
This investigation, this search, though, certainly has people talking. Earlier today, one of the victim's grandfathers drove through here as people were getting set up for the search and blocking the road off.
The thing is, bad actors, I think people should be suspicious of the investigation. I think the investigators, they need to be scrutinized. I just hate the idea that it was the luck of the draw, right? Something horrible happens to you or one of your family members, and the people that are in charge of conducting an investigation, they might not be up for the challenge. But just to say, oh, well, I'm in that jurisdiction and these are the people that I'm stuck with, right? Maybe none of them could handle this type of investigation. Pride, ego, and things like that get in the way. And if they didn't conduct a good investigation, I don't see any reason why we can't come out and publicly say it, point it out, and tell them you need to fix this.
Emily, you've been talking to him. What you've been saying?
Well, Rich, we know from investigators that when the public hears from family members, namely Mike Patty, Libby German's grandfather, the number of tips goes up. They surge. Patty has said it could take only one tip, the right tip, to break this case. So we reached out to Mike Patty today to ask him what he thinks about investigators being.
Let's go to Hydro. Well, because of Delphi, if I see something, I'm really going to think about it before saying something. That's very irresponsible, right? Just get an attorney, talk to an attorney, sit with an attorney. Remember, Rick Allen acted guilty. He told his wife, hey, if you want to get out of here, just tell them you want an attorney and they'll let you leave. Okay, doofus, why aren't you asking for an attorney so they'll let you leave? Oh, because you're the typical killer, right? You want to know what they know. The only way you're going to know what they know is if you sit there and wait for them to keep showing you all these different things, right? They've already showed you the bullet. They've showed you your victim's foot. You know, if he's a sadist, shit, he probably got off on that. He's like, I'm sticking around. I'm going to see what else they got, right? So if you have something to say to law enforcement, just consult with an attorney first. but keeping information to yourself could be potentially dangerous to you and your own family, right? You're in a community, you're witnessing a crime, and you don't say anything. Next time, it could be you. You got to be careful.
Back at this property here today. Here's what he had to say, quote, "My reaction is I hope the investigation, wherever it takes police, leads to the arrest of the person or persons involved." Now, investigators say with this latest development, the searching of this property,
absolutely.
more tips have come in again today. And a frequent mantra among investigators about solving this case, Rich, has been today is the day. Of
There
course,
you go,
we
Robert.
had this
Get an
massive
attorney.
search that's still going on today, but no arrests.
And Emily, I think this is a surprise, and it is extraordinary to be searching an area that is so close to a crime scene that is over 4 weeks old. You'll be following the story tonight. When there's something new, we'll put it online and, of course, on the night beat.
Okay, here's something I put together for an old live stream.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that
I agree
happened
about
to the
actors, for
community
sure.
and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually.
Yeah, it doesn't sound the same. Same dialect. So this video right here is the one where Ron Logan really looks like the bridge guy. I mean, just look how he's moving around here. And look how steep this hill is right here. Now, Reese said that Ron told him that they placed Libby in a tarp and held her in the garage or in the barn. So everybody's searching. Where's Libby? Where's Libby? She's in the barn wrapped up, and you have Abby, I think, in the bathroom handcuffed. So she's in a wheelbarrow at that time. So I believe they placed her in the wheelbarrow, and they're going to go move her to the crime scene. It's at that point they realize that she's still alive, according to Reese. According to Reese and according to what Ron Logan told Reese. So that could explain why Libby had like all this blood all over her. And then she also had, I believe, blood dripping upward, up the head. I believe that fits with the evidence here that they were placed in a wheelbarrow and taken down this steep hill. Right here, coming down this hill, would cause the blood to drip up the forehead, upward. And then while they're down there, you have somebody like Kagan taking the blood that's inside the wheelbarrow and drawing something on the tree, and him and Ron, doing some satanic shit with the sticks. It was his son, Hydro. A couple days after he died, he was awarded the property. I don't know if he still has it. I don't know if it was sold. Luna, what's up? Says not his voice. Welcome in, Stephanie. BG looks more fit. Right here, he looks like the bridge guy. If you were to take off these boots and put on some tennis shoes and maybe a different jacket, because he has multiple blue jackets. Everybody's like, he's dressed like the bridge guy. Well, in each time you see him, he's in a different blue jacket. See, but look at him moving. He's leaving this young guy in his dust. But what I want you guys to take notice of is this item that seems to be hanging right here. I'm an artist and his dimensions are not bridge guy. His legs look like half his weight. Absolutely 100%. His son, Hydro. Yep, his son. Okay. Big, strong legs. Bridge guy doesn't appear to have those muscles. No, he actually appears like he has chicken legs, in my opinion. But it could be deceiving. If what we were looking at is a clear representation of what is what, we would be able to see the individual's facial features as well. If we can't see his facial features, that means that they're skewed for some reason. If those are being skewed, that means that everything else is being skewed, at least to that degree. Jamie, yeah, Tobe. Yeah, seriously, no doubt. There's definitely more Tobe in Libby's video than there is Ron Logan. But that doesn't mean that it's not Ron Logan. Just because to us it doesn't look like him, we could be missing something. Something could be affecting our judgment and our perception. There were pools of blood at the crime scene that turned gelatinous. Yeah, so that could have been the wheelbarrow, when they dumped it. That could be where she kind of fell out, maybe rolled out, and all the blood as well into that pile. And then when, according to Reese, it was Kagan and Ron Logan who were the ones doing all the witchcraft and creating the signatures down at the crime scene. So I can see him kind of dumping with the wheelbarrow. You know how you kind of push it forward? And that creating a puddle. And then they also described Libby being moved, kind of dragged about, I think, a short distance, like 5, maybe 8 feet or something like that. And according to Reese, she was placed, her body also was positioned specifically to represent something. And according to Ron, it was witchcraft. But according to Kagan, who definitely had much more detail about all of it, it sounds like it was his idea. So when I include Satanism, that doesn't come from Reese. But what that comes from is, to me, when Ron says witchcraft to Reese, potentially, right, hypothetically, what he's doing is interpreting what Kagan Klein is doing, right? He sees Kagan Klein's Satanism and him creating these symbols and all of that. He sees it as witchcraft. He's like, well, what we did at the crime scene was witchcraft. But I think that was just his interpretation of Kagan's Satanism. So I think it could very well have been Kagan doing something in blood on the tree, right, through Reese's lens. If we're looking at it through Reese's lens, I can see that. They're staging the crime scene, the wheelbarrow. The evidence seems to back it up. And here you have Ron Logan looking a lot like the bridge guy, only because of this item hanging underneath his shirt. But like what Redfoot said earlier, it's on the wrong side of the bridge guy. Should be over here on this side, where typically you would see Richard Allen. Here, let me show you. Where he allows his hoodie to hang low. So let me go to the trial exhibits and pull up that photo of him where he's just kind of standing there. What'd I do with those? No, here we go. No, that's not it. Okay, so one thing I want you to notice about this photograph of Rick on the trails looking like the fucking bridge guy right here, right? This is him. This is it. This is what we're looking at. Put a jacket on this guy that has a hood. You have 2 hoods now. And then you have his hoodie pocket just stuffed. Cigarettes, whatever else is in here, right? Pair of gloves, his car keys, box cutter, whatever. If he had a jacket on over the top of this hoodie, this would be hanging down. And notice you have this piece right here that kind of comes up like the side of a fanny pack. So if he's going to stick his arm underneath this part of his hoodie, it would kind of make it look like a fanny pack. Right? Just like that. All right, let's catch up on the chat. I still have no idea who I see on that bridge, but I hear KK saying down the hill. I can't change my mind on that. You're not alone. Ron Logan, super clean bathroom and a messy house. Yep, we'll get to that. Ron Logan was involved. He's stupid for leaving them on, letting him on his property, for leaving them on his property. Well, the thing is, you can't put them in a vehicle. You know, anywhere they go, they're leaving DNA and evidence. That's how a lot of people get caught, is by placing bodies in their vehicle and going out to a dump site. You get caught on license plate readers, cameras, get pulled over. Then you got to clean your vehicle of all that DNA. Right? They went missing right there. Just go back, you know, they may have had the idea, let's just go put them over there. They'll eventually find them. We'll stage the crime scene and it'll look like some kind of ritual. And then I'll do a bunch of interviews, right? Act like I didn't do it. I have an alibi. They've already searched my house. They didn't find anything. I'm cleared. Happy New Year's, bad actors. Take care. This hoodie pulled over his head. Yeah, before we disappear. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome in, Stephanie. Luna says, nope, I don't believe that they were ever in a wheelbarrow. It happened where they were found. Watermark line was on the clothing Abby laid from crossing the creek. Aw, snap. From a vicarious person. Reese did lie. He retracted the third person being Richard Allen, so he lied about Richard Allen being involved, or he lied about Richard Allen not being involved. Either way, he lied. I'm skeptical of Reese because he's a convicted fraudster. Absolutely, Stephanie, and you should be. There's a lot of people in prison that shouldn't be because of jailhouse snitches. And a lot of the people that have been released after, you know, spending time in prison falsely can be attributed to jailhouse snitches. You should never just blindly believe them. But the truth about it when it comes to Reese is he's talking about things that only the killer would know. He's kind of creating an alternative timeline that still fits. Right? Rick Allen's timeline and confession fit a specific timeline that must be held together by the data that was pulled from Libby's phone. All of that kind of locks in together. But to me, what we're looking at here is Rick. Right? He's got the hoodie underneath. He's got the items bundled up here down at the bottom. But either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't exclude Ron Logan if this is Rick, and it doesn't exclude Rick if it is Ron Logan, right? If it's not Ron Logan, it really doesn't matter. Because we know that Rick is involved. The question is it possible that Reese is telling the truth?
Walking through with Ron Logan today. He's showing us the property. He knows this treacherous terrain better than anyone. So in order to get down there, like I mentioned, went down a large ravine that was so steep we pretty much had to walk sideways to get down that way. And this is where the girls were found. It's less than half a mile from the Monon High Bridge where they were last seen on Monday. Officers still processing evidence that they gathered here. They were out here for hours ever since those girls went missing. They're looking for any clue that could lead to the person or persons who killed 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German. The scene may be clear tonight, but Logan tells me his property won't ever be the same.
I want to show you everything, how they could have got here, because you're going to be as confused as I am.
Right. So if we're looking at through Reese's lens, it's like Ron would be kind of like trying to kind of guide you away from what actually happened, right? He's like, let me take you on a trip here. This is what happened. Those kids were way over there, and then they ended up way over here. When really it's just a short distance for him to travel to the bridge, cross the bridge, go down the hill, come back across. It's really not that much for him. You can see him going up and down the hill with how many different reporters? It's nothing for him.
How did these two little girls get here from the high bridge with all this rough terrain without somebody making them come here? The high bridge is right across the creek here. It runs all the way down where this creek and the land joins together. Where they join together is the last photographs taken of the girls.
See, and he's talking about the photographs. And if Keegan Kline is involved, right, and there's burner phones and all of this is true, that means that they are absolutely stalking these girls through Snapchat. And it's just interesting that Ron Logan's talking about the last photos of the girls, right? Why would he be thinking about that? I always found that kind of strange.
So they had to come all the way through this territory, get down in here. Not an easy trip.
Right now we have talked to
The unsolved murders of Abby Williams and Libby German provided us a copy of this search warrant, and it reveals new facts about the crime scene where the girls' bodies were found.
Very generous.
Back on
Thank
Ron Logan's Carroll County property on February 14th, 2017.
This is the gate they left down.
2 days after the bodies were discovered, Ron Logan showed us around his property that backs up to Deer Creek.
See, here he goes. This is the third reporter in like a week, most likely more, because we know that he took Barb down there too.
And sits at the bottom of the gorge.
He's like, yeah, come on, come down here with me. I love talking about this. Here, I'll show you where they were. The bodies were right here. Can you believe it? 2 dead girls here on my property. Man, think about that. I can't think of the last time that ever happened. 2 dead people. And then here, right here on my property. Wow. Come here. Let me show you.
Where the Monon High Bridge towers up above, where Libby German and Abby Williams met the man who took their lives.
Okay, there's the crime scene down there. See how the ground's much more matted down right in here? I think you're right there.
The search warrant from March.
You're right there. Matted down right in here. See how the ground's much more matted down right in here? I think you're right there.
Look how creeped out she is. She's like she's getting these weird vibes. Watch her. Look at the look on her face. Is that McAdams? I think that might be Alexis before she got all famous.
Sounds much more matted down right in here. I think you're right there.
She's like, yeah.
Right in here. I think you're right there.
Okay. We're going to take another quick break, you guys. I'm going to go to the restroom real quick. We're already at like the 2-hour mark. We're going to come back and we're going to read the unredacted probable cause affidavit for his search warrant. And then we're going to kind of look at it through the Reese lens, through that filter. So if you need to go to the restroom, grab a drink of water, refill your coffee, do it now. We'll be back in 2 minutes. All right. So actually, we won't just jump right into the affidavit. I think we're going to do something first. Let's look at some of the reports here. So we have Ron Logan's initial report. We have the discovery that he lied about his alibi. And then we'll go into the unredacted PCA. So I think this might be the beginning here. State of Indiana, County of Carroll, State of Indiana versus Ron Logan. I, Fred Rogers, being first duly sworn upon my oath, says that I have probable cause for believing at this time that Ronald E. Logan committed the crime of count 1, operating a vehicle as a habitual traffic violator, a level 6 felony in Carroll County, Indiana, and on or about February 13th, 2017, by reason of the following facts. I am a sergeant with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. During the course of another investigation, Indiana State Police Detective Tim Kendall spoke with Ronald Logan concerning his whereabouts on February 13th, 2017. Logan advised that David Nolf had come to his residence and drove him to Carroll County Trash Transfer Station. He advised that they then worked around the house and went to Aquarium World in Lafayette in the afternoon to purchase some fish. On March 10th, 2017, Carroll County Major Michael Thomas, ISP Detective A.J. Smith, and I went to the Carroll County Transfer Station and spoke with Kristen Wan, the only full-time employee. She was shown Mr. Logan's photograph and stated she recognized him, but could not advise when he was last there. She stated there is no record of a cash payment. Detective Smith, Major Thomas, and I met at the transfer station later to review the video footage from the station for February 13th, 2017. The transfer station video shows Logan driving his pickup truck, turning into the transfer station from CR 625 West, pull into the garage at the transfer station, and unload several bags of trash. And that's why. And then Fig was able to get his hands actually on the video and had it posted on YouTube at one time. I don't know if he still has it up or not. All right. He arrived at approximately 11:58 a.m. and stayed about 5 minutes before he got back into the driver's seat and drove away. Mr. Logan's driving status is HTV, beginning December 17th, 2014 and running through December 17th of 2024. Right? So this is the initial statement. Okay, let's look at it a little bit deeper. Let's dive a little deeper. So this was actually filed by Logan's attorneys. I wish there was an offline version of this. Okay, I want you guys to pay close attention to the firm that was representing Ron Logan. Is there anything interesting that you see up here at the top? Right, especially when we think about how they tried to hide Richard Allen, right? There's no such thing as a lost tip. They knew about him right from the beginning. They let Kagan Klein move to Las Vegas, where he may have sold a snuff film. And when he came back, they let him live there for an entire year. And then still, they never charged him with the Delphi murders, even though he confessed. And what about Dave McCain, who was never even searched? He has all the probable cause that Richard Allen did, right? Timeline, dressed like the bridge guy. There between 2 and 4 when the murders occurred. He had opportunity. Okay, so up at the top, you guys notice the name Rosie. So between Rosie and Aki, they represented all of the people involved in the Delphi murders. Kagan Klein, Richard Allen, and Ron Logan. 3 people who were basically ignored. Remember, if we're looking through Reese's lens, they allowed Ron Logan the time to clean up, right? You need to fix that bathroom, get rid of those pipes. Can't have anything coming back to you because then it comes back to us. Okay, so I just want you guys to take note of that. Hillis, Rosie, and Aki, attorneys at law, the firm that represented everybody involved in the Delphi murders, but wasn't brought up during Richard Allen's trial. There goes that black cat again. I could have swore I saw that black cat earlier. I wonder what that means. It's like a glitch. You know what I mean? Little glitch in the matrix. Okay, so within this little packet here, we're going to see the unredacted probable cause. Okay. On February 13th, 2017, at approximately 1 p.m., juvenile victims, hereafter referred to as Libby German and Abby Williams, were taken to the Monon High Bridge Trail located in Delphi, Indiana. So the first thing that sticks out to me, even before this damn thing gets started, this is written by an FBI agent who, in my opinion, was frustrated that they weren't writing it themselves. They must have given her an excuse like, I don't want to put my name on that. We're just not ready. She's like, we're beyond ready. Trust me. My expertise tells me that we are good to go and we're wasting time. She's like, I'll do it. But you can tell that they're keeping information from her, right? On February 13th, 2017, at approximately 1 p.m., juveniles Libby and Abby were dropped off at the Monon High Bridge. If she had access to the Hoosier Harvest Store video, she would know that that is inaccurate. But she didn't. Why didn't she? Probably the same reason that she was kicked off the case later. Her and her whole squad. Libby and Abby were walking on the trail in the area of County Road. We all know where this is located. The victims were to be picked up by a family member at 3 p.m. And it's crazy. 3 p.m. is when everybody's alibi ends. Rick told Doolin, well, I was there between 1:30 and 3. Ron Logan says, well, I was out of there by 3. Around 3. Kagan Klein, well, I was with my grandmother between 12 and 3. And Libby tells her parents, we should be done by 3. The victims never met with the family members. Approximately 5:30 p.m. was the last successful ping of the cellular phone by AT&T. The victims, LG and AW, were located deceased on February 14th, 2017 at approximately 12:17 p.m. at the above listed latitude and longitude, having been victims of murder accordance with Indiana law. A suspect has been developed of a white male wearing a blue jacket with a heavy physical build, wearing a cap and blue jeans. The development of the suspect was made by a 43-second video taken on Libby's phone where the suspect follows the victims as they are walking on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Near the end of the video, the suspect speaks to the victim saying down the hill. It sounds as though he is directing the victims to leave the trail they were on and enter the wooded area below. No person has come forward and identified himself as the person who met the victims and made the statement in Libby German's video. Therefore, it is believed that the person in Libby German's video participated in the killings. Images of the suspect have been broadcast on the news media since February 15th, 2017 as a person of interest. Libby and Abby are presumed to have made contact with the unknown male at approximately 2:13 p.m. based upon analysis of Libby's cell phone, which recorded the video. On February 14th at approximately 12:17 p.m., Libby and Abby were found dead with wounds caused by a sharp weapon on the property owned by Ronald Logan. A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wounds, it is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. The location of the crime scene is approximately 1,400 feet from Logan's residence, and that's not far at all. Real quick. Thanks, Boston. Thanks for the super chat. Blessings and a very happy new year. Same to you. Here, let's get all caught up here. Was also mistreated while in Yeah, Ron was the first one to be mistreated, placed into solitary. He was left on the cold floor naked for 14 days. It's in the letter that I just kind of skipped over from his attorneys. We'll go see that. We'll go back to it. All right, crime scene. Nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person or clothing. Logan is a 77-year-old male. Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the male suspect videoed on by Libby on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Logan owns farmland and cares for large farm animals. Logan appears to be in good physical condition. Logan has been interviewed several times. His voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. I'll accept that. It was also discovered that the panties and sock of one of the victims was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. Based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir, or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene. Now remember, Reese Davis said that Ron told him that an unknown person that he did not identify to Reese came by after the girls had been murdered and everything had been completed and picked up a burner phone. Now, if you remember, you had Dave McCain kind of lingering around. You had somebody that spoke with Brad Heath saying that, yeah, that same vehicle that you described, which also matches the vehicle described by Betsy Blair as being parked at the CPS building, Brad Heath described as being parked in the middle of the street. Reese made a comment about Keegan Kline telling him that Keegan Kline acted as if his car had broke down and was confronted, and they kind of panicked about that. But also, Reese told Gray Hughes that later on that his buddy also saw that same vehicle parked in a strange manner, not only away from the road up the street from the CPS building, but also later on about 4 o'clock in the day was parked up near the Freedom Bridge, facing out in a way where you could oversee everything that was going on in the trails. Almost as if he was making sure everything was going smoothly. So that could be the guy who walked over to Ron Logan and grabbed the burner phone. What's on that phone? Stephanie says, I think it's likely McCain was involved with Richard Allen. I think so too. I think it's possible. Third party suspect when he was a defense attorney. Thanks again, Boston. Appreciate the support. Okay, based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene, whether by photos or electronic or digital methods that are then downloaded onto computers, storage devices, tablets, phones, iPad devices, or other electronic devices that store digital data and later viewing, scanning, or copying. Libby and Abby had no visible signs of struggle or fight. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators located unknown fibers and unidentified hairs, which later to be used in comparison of similar fibers or hairs. Logan's owned numerous weapons, including handguns, knives, that were observed by law enforcement officers during the execution of the search warrant that took place at the home on March 6, 2017. Logan's home was searched as a result of a probation violation. The search was limited to the discovery of firearms and included only his main residence. On February 14th, 2017, at approximately 9:20 a.m., Logan contacted his cousin, David Nolf. Logan asked Nolf to tell police that Nolf came to Logan's home between 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on February 13th to pick Logan up. So this is why I don't believe Ron Logan is the bridge guy. But I also believe it's possible that he said he was the bridge guy. If he's the guy that physically killed Libby, and later on, Richard Allen and Keegan Kline killed Abby, which could explain why Richard Allen was locked up and said, I'm sorry for what I did to Abby. He may have only participated in that act of murder. Ron Logan, when kind of bragging about what actually happened, and Reese saying, well, are you the bridge guy? Well, everybody's associating the bridge guy with being the killer. Like, are you the killer of Libby? He, in his mind, he's like, well, yeah, I'm the bridge guy. Like, that's not the killer. Like, I'm the bridge guy. I'm the killer. Because he's the one that told Reese that he killed the girls with the razor blade, with the box cutter. So remember, guilty killers may just tell a version of their truth, right? Leaving out certain things. Psychopaths also like to play cat and mouse. So they're just telling of a version of events that minimizes their involvement or leaves out certain things that they feel they don't want law enforcement to know, right? We don't want you to know the total picture. We don't want you to go down all the tentacles. We're just going to give you the basic players that you already kind of have anyway, without going too deep into that rabbit hole. So Logan asked Nolf to tell the police that Nolf came to Logan's home between 2. So this is why I don't think he's the bridge guy. If he's telling Nolf to lie like, hey, man, I left at 2 to 2:30, to me, he was there when all the planning was going on, right? Through the Reese lens. We're looking at it through that filter, the Reese filter, right? There was no cemetery. Keegan was not parked at the cemetery. He was parked at Ron Logan's. And then we also see Richard Allen passing in front of the Hoosiers Harvest Store video or camera and being captured on video leaving from the direction of Ron Logan's home. Right? So Kagan Klein could have just been giving his one of many versions of the truth. One that excluded Ron Logan and excluded some of the other shit that he's probably doing. For all we know, Kagan Klein could be linked to other murders across the country. When this all happened on a live stream, we called Tony Klein. We called him. We called his phone before everything blew up, and he had a chance to change his number. We called him, and he had a strange voicemail. When the voicemail picked up, it said 10 years in Alaska. That's it. It was like some kind of coded message. 10 years in Alaska. Anthony Schatz on his information listed that he was from Alaska and had a history in Indiana and only came to Indiana on business. So I found that interesting that we called TK's phone and it says 10 years in Alaska. Very strange. It was like this weird coded message. If you were a customer and you left a coded message like 10 years in Alaska, and you said something back like some kind of weird answer to the riddle, right? They knew to get back to you. Like, okay, I need to get back to you on a different line. Very strange. Unless you guys have another explanation for that. Why would TK leave that as his answering machine message? 10 years in Alaska. This was right around the time the Anthony Schatz information broke and Keegan Klein became headline news. We called him on live television. 10 years in Alaska. What could that possibly mean? Okay, 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on February 13th to pick Logan up. Logan further told Nolf to say that Nolf drove Logan to an aquarium store in Lafayette, Indiana. Logan told Nolf to say that they returned home to Logan's house between 5 and 5:30 p.m. When in all actuality, that was a lie, right? They left Aquarium World at 5:30. I'm pretty sure I couldn't find the receipt. I have it. I actually have the receipt. I have an image of Ron Logan's receipt from Aquarium World, and I think it says something like 5:30 or somewhere in between 5 and 6, like 5:48 or something strange like that, right around 5:30. So he wanted to make it seem like no way he was involved, right? He had a complete solid alibi. That just wasn't true when it comes to Ron Logan. On February 14th, 2017, while requesting consent to search Logan's property, a law enforcement officer advised Logan that these officers would not search his home unless evidence led law enforcement to Logan's house. In the meeting, Logan told law enforcement that he did not think evidence would lead them to that, but said, "I don't know." Yeah, that's a very strange comment, right? Hey, I don't know. Like, I don't know if the killer came in here and planted evidence on me. I don't know if you're going to find something like that. That doesn't seem realistic. So that kind of stood out. That was a red flag for me. Okay, 521, I'm sorry. A receipt from Aquarium World in Lafayette dated February 13th with a checkout time of 521. So basically right there at about 5:30, right? Which means he would have had plenty of time. All you have to do is subtract 2 hours from that. That leaves us at 321. It's an hour drive there and back combined. And they contacted the representative that checked him out. And he was there for an hour, Ron Logan. That's 2 hours of his time. Driving there, shopping, and driving back. Meaning he left right about 321. And that's when everything was kind of happening, right? Muddy and bloody guy. Right when Ron Logan is supposedly leaving to Lafayette, and Reese Davis says that they told him and Keegan Klein told him that they all went to Lafayette. That's where they got rid of all the shit, all the evidence. They dumped it out there. They all took their own individual vehicles that were in, and they got rid of evidence in Lafayette. So he could have left right at that very point that they're seeing Muddy and Bloody guy. He's trying to establish an alibi. and he's telling Kagan and Richard Klein, you guys need to go clean this up. You're on my property. I have to establish an alibi or we're all screwed. And it kind of worked for a little bit. But I am sorry, guys. We are completely out of time. Let's see. I mean, that's pretty much all I had to go over with you guys. I wanted to touch a little bit more on what might have been going on at the crime scene, right? Forgetting about the Odinism and looking at it through Reese's lens of what Ron Logan told him, which was witchcraft. And according to Kagan Klein, like for him, it meant a lot more. There was a lot of symbolism there. He was trying to convey a message. And I think when Ron Logan told Reese that it was witchcraft, that was his interpretation of what Kagan Klein was doing, right? What I was seeing Kagan do and what I was helping him do, he was, putting the bodies in the shapes, so maybe it is the tarot cards and things like that, right? Similar to the Tate LaBianca murders, because that's what the Manson family did. They staged the crime scene like tarot cards. Maybe that's something that Kagan Klein was trying to do. And Ron Logan's looking at all the sticks and all of that stuff and seeing him write something on a tree. And he interpreted it as witchcraft. That's what I think happened there. So catch up on the chat. If you guys have anything to add, do it now, and then we'll bounce out of here. Pitbull Mom, good to see you. Happy New Year's. Thank you for the good vibes. Happy, healthy, and successful. Right back at you. I appreciate that. I love that positive energy. Did law enforcement get McCain SD cards off his camera? Yeah, days later, Stephanie. He could have easily have used that phone, or excuse me, that camera, taken all of these photographs, videos, whatever, taken out the SD card, handed it to another perpetrator, put his SD card back in, snap a bunch of pictures through the trail, and then hand that one over. Simple. Especially if this is a pre-planned crime. Remember, the Anthony Shots account was created in 2016 around July. The plane tickets that were purchased for Las Vegas were right around that time. So they're purchasing plane tickets to Las Vegas, creating the Anthony Shots account, luring somebody and murdering them potentially, Abby and Libby, creating this high profile case, and then leaving to Las Vegas less than a week later, coming back, having a search warrant served on them, and then coming up with all these crazy theories about a snuff film. Like, is it possible that there was a snuff film? And then hearing what Reese Davis has to say about, yeah, there was burner phones, and yes, they did document the murders. It kind of makes you wonder about what happened to that poor guy who took his own life after the crime scene photo leak happened. I always thought there was more to it. So I think it's possible that his crime scene photos were obtained on the dark web, right? He had all this inside knowledge, like these Tyler Carpenter characters and these Roberts and the guy who took his life, right? He's confronted by law enforcement. I think there's a lot more there potentially. I don't think it was just like, oh my God, my reputation's ruined. My life is over. I had the Delphi crime scene photos, right? I just don't see that happening. I think there's something more to that story. There's something there, in my opinion. First Sergeant Christopher Cecil extracted info from Libby's phone. His analysis, he found the phone's movements. Also, the phone tracked their movements, barometer, altimeter. That's true. This shows they had gone down the terrain. Yeah, I mean, there's no arguing that. The question is that where they were abducted? Right? Is that where they chased Abby and thought they killed Libby? Kagan told Reese that him and Richard Allen are the ones that moved the bodies. So if Abby's moving herself, maybe it was Ron Logan's idea to use maybe a three-wheeler or a wheelbarrow or something. Maybe it was a password to a dirty account. Oh, shit. That's interesting. Damn, Sensei. Yeah, 10 years in Alaska. You might be right. Only tracks increases in elevation. Apple 6. Wrong. It tracks both elevation gain and loss. Luna Stacy, former FBI phone expert and professor, testified it only tracks upward elevation change. That doesn't make any sense. What's up, Amy? If it only tracked up, like you would, there's nothing to compare it to. It's not going to know where up begins and where it ends. Unless it knows how much it went back down. Honestly, it would be simple math. All right, you're at this elevation now, you're at this elevation. Was it added or subtracted? All right, guys, if you're part of that replay crew, you know exactly what to do. Send me an email or drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Like I said, we're playing devil's advocate. I don't think that Ron Logan is the bridge guy. He doesn't look like the bridge guy. To me, he doesn't sound like the bridge guy. Does that mean that he's not part of this crime? Absolutely not. Does it mean that Reese's lying? Absolutely not. Reese could be telling the truth. Ron could be a participant in these murders, but not be bridge guy, but told Reese, I am the bridge guy, right? By saying that, he may have just meant, well, everybody's attributing these murders to the bridge guy. That's me. I killed the girls, right? It was my idea. These other pussies, they weren't even, they were trying to come over here and play patty cake over here at the at my house. He's like, no, I was planning to kill her from the beginning. I just didn't know that she was going to have this friend with her or whatever. But if you guys could, please go ahead and hit the like button on the way out. Consider becoming a member. We're going to go big in 2026, so you guys be prepared. We're already kind of working on a new format and getting ready for that now. And we're going to hit the ground running. Eli, good to see you. Sensei, it's always good to see you as well. And everybody else, thanks for hanging out. Amy, everybody, Happy New Year. We'll see if we can do a New Year's Eve live stream a little bit later tonight. I'll see what's going on. But everybody, take care of yourselves. If I don't see you tonight, take care of yourselves. Be safe. And look after one another. Peace.